my daughters. He chopped her head off.
You had killed their daughter, and he knew.
Echoes call from hollow halls, a voice that creeps and softly crawls. Time stands still, the air is...
This is Shelby Neely. He was captured at a local store after getting rid of a whole family. Fortunately, his attempt to conceal his disturbing crimes is the same thing that helps investigators uncover his whereabouts. DeAndrea Holloway gave police a hard time after ending the life of his 8 months pregnant partner. Paul Dyson was crying on television to hide his evil act, but his every move was caught on surveillance cameras. From a man who wiped out his wife's family, to a group of men who go on a chilling spree of theft, kidnapping, and executions, these are the 6 most disturbing CCTV incidents caught on camera. In November 2024, millions of Australians woke up to unsettling news that Bunnings, a popular retailer in the country, was breaching the privacy of their customers. But what followed was far more disturbing than anyone could have imagined. For decades, Australians have associated the green, white, and red colors of Bunnings with home improvement and lifestyle items. However, they were taken aback in 2024 when reports surfaced that the company was secretly collecting and sharing customer data. According to the Australian Privacy Commissioner, the retailers were among the companies that used facial recognition technology in their stores. Between 2018 and 2021, the store collected images of people's faces as they walked into the store using video cameras. Then, the images are compared with those already in a database of customers who are banned from the store. While the system deletes the images not found in the database, they were deemed to have collected sensitive information without the owner's consent. The retailer believes they've done nothing wrong. They say their actions were geared towards keeping their staff and customers safe from a small group of violent individuals.
We'd really hoped that the Commission would have balanced the safety and wellbeing needs of our team, our customers, the wider community, against a small group of convicted violent criminals who we're seeking to keep out of our store.
In a shocking response to the allegations and the following criticism, the retailer released a disturbing compilation of strange incidents captured on their CCTV cameras across 63 Australian stores. Most of the clips in the montage show different instances of violence against their staff members. The footage reveals a shocking pattern of violence against retail workers. Employees going about their daily routines suddenly find themselves face-to-face with agitated customers wielding knives, brandishing firearms, and launching unprovoked attacks. The images capture moments of pure terror, with staff members backing away in fear as weapons are thrust toward their faces and customers exploding into rage over mundane disputes. In one of the more disturbing videos, a man could be seen entering and walking around the store with a balaclava covering his face and a shotgun in hand. In another clip, an aggressive customer is seen grabbing a knife and removing the sheath before pressing it against a staff member's neck. A few of the clips show violent customers punching, hitting, and throwing staff members around. Some were also threatening workers with weapons like knives and hammers, while others revealed shoplifters carting away items from the store. One clip displays a naked individual walking around casually with a dog. as he touches the items on the counter, creating a surreal and deeply unsettling scene that left both staff and customers traumatized. This story highlights the reality for owners and workers of retail stores, as well as the issue of corporate surveillance. But if you think that was disturbing, what we're about to explore next will shake you to your very core. Before we go any further, I just want to ask you for a small favor. If you're enjoying the video so far, please give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. We recently hit 100,000 subscribers, and that's all thanks to you. Our 100K special surprise was revealed, and we had many positive responses from you. Our next goal is to hit 200K before the year ends. It feels impossible, but hey, it's free to dream, right? Also, there's a hidden word somewhere in this video for you. Let's see if you can find it. Now, back to the video. It was the fall of 2014 when Agnes Klavina decided she would have some fun with her friends. She absolutely deserved it like anyone else in the world. The young woman wanted to let her hair down, dance, unwind, and have a few drinks. None of those should upset anyone, but some bad people don't need a reason to do bad things. But who was Klavina? And how did this unfortunate play out? Agnes Klavina was born in Latvia on July 8, 1984. She grew up with her family in the port and capital city of Riga as the youngest of two daughters. Behind her elder sister Greta, the two daughters grew up as best friends and were quite close with their parents. From a very young age, Klavina was beautiful, attracting many admirers. But her appearance wasn't the only thing that went right for her. In fact, she excelled at a lot of things. She was athletic and brilliant in class. Klavina also loved traveling. She planned the best vacations and always knew she wanted to work in tourism or a related industry. After school, Klavina took language classes, studied to be a tourism manager, and worked briefly. At age 20, she moved from Latvia to London in search of more opportunities. It felt like the right time to make the move, and she got the support of relatives. After moving to the UK, she met her boyfriend, 28-year-old Michael Mills. Michael was a young, educated man who owned multiple successful businesses. The two enjoyed each other's company and started making long-term plans together. By 2014, Klavina got an offer to work as an administrator in a popular nightclub in Marbella, Spain, for 3 months. It meant Klavina had to travel briefly, but Michael understood she needed it to advance her career. They recognized the opportunities. With Marbella being a popular vacation destination for celebrities, the two were also planning to have their wedding after the trip. By May 2014, Klavina had moved. She communicated with her boyfriend and family almost every day. Just as the 3 months were over, she got another offer at a luxury restaurant and extended her stay. After consulting Michael, who promised to visit, Michael visited her in September, but Agnesi still had to work for another month. On September 6, Agnesi and some friends she met in Spain went to a nightclub. They took some photos which she posted online. Her friends called it a night as the morning approached, but Agnesi wanted a bit more fun. The friends didn't have a case to worry about, since Agnesi was a responsible woman who didn't drink much. The next morning, Michael tried to reach his fiancée to ask about the outing the night before, but couldn't. When Agnes didn't show up for work, colleagues contacted the police, who didn't make a move. Michael informed Klavina's family of the strange event later in the day. When they called the police, they learned they had to show up in Spain if they wanted the police to start an investigation. Michael and Klavina's family moved and started helping the police with the search.
My sister is very beautiful. 30 years old woman with blonde hair. She is 1 meter 71 centimeters tall. Now it's over 6 months when she went missing, and we don't know anything about her.
It had already been 5 days, and precious time was slipping away. The police searched through Agnesi's apartment. The owner had not been there, even though it looked like she was not gone for too long. When they checked the CCTV cameras, they found something else, something more disturbing. Agnes was seen being forced into a car by some men. The first man held and dragged her continuously, even as she continued to stand her ground. Whenever she attempted to walk away, the chubby man blocked her path. The second man held the door and was seen receiving a handshake and something that looked like cash, most likely for his help in getting Agnes inside the car. A third man was also clearly visible on surveillance footage. He made his way into the car as the first man forced Agnes. He also presumably held Agnes back as she opened the car door after being led inside. The second man shut the door from the outside before the door could be opened further. That was the last time anyone apart from the three men saw Agnes. Agnes's phone was switched off for the last time, some minutes after getting inside the Mercedes A63 car. The first man was Wesley Capper, the son of a British millionaire. The third man inside the vehicle was his friend Craig Porter, while the second man outside the car was an African man known as Kainul Suman. Capper said he held Agnes to steady her because she was drunk. The men claimed that Agassi entered the car out of her own free will. When they suggested taking the party to Capper's place, they said she changed her mind when they traveled for a while and was let out of the car in the middle of the road. Unfortunately, there were no CCTV cameras along the way, and their claims couldn't be confirmed. However, police found more surveillance footage of Capper. It showed Capper, Craig, and two other men on Capper's father's luxury yacht, 4 days after they were at the bar. They were carrying a large, heavy suitcase and a rolled carpet. When they returned days later, the carpet and suitcase were not there. Capper claimed they traveled to Ibiza to have fun and that the suitcase contained their belongings. No DNA was found in the car and yacht because they had been cleaned several times. Investigators found some strands of hair in the car, but they disappeared before they could be tested. The prosecution team thought the men killed Agnes after forcing him inside the car. They said Capper and his friend kept the body in the suitcase and threw it somewhere in the sea. They thought the perpetrators deliberately delayed the case to eliminate all the evidence. Capper, Porter, and Usman were charged with forcing Agnes inside the car. Capper got 2 years in prison, while Porter got 6 months. However, they were suspended sentences, and neither man went to jail. They paid Agnes's family a meager £10,000. Capper died on July 26, 2021, escaping any sort of punishment. Craig spent some time in jail for a different crime. In June 2023, a suitcase containing a body was found on the sea. Some of the descriptions matched Agnes, but more DNA analysis needs to be carried out to ascertain if it's Agnes and possibly reopen the case. Joanne was the first daughter of Charlie, an engineer, and Jean, a teaching assistant. She had 2 younger sisters, Katie and Janie, and they all grew up in Kingston upon Hull, England. Joanne trained to be a nurse but couldn't cope with the emotional requirements of the job, so she got another job in Hull and stayed closer to her family while helping others. At 19, Joanne met 27-year-old Paul Dyson, a club bouncer. The two fell in love quickly and got engaged. They lived briefly with Paul's mom before getting their own apartment in the Cottingham district of Hull. However, the couple started having issues in their relationship. Joanne remained ambitious and continued to thrive in her career, but Paul did not enjoy the same success, despite switching careers to a wood machinist. Paul was disorderly and couldn't maintain a healthy social lifestyle. His job wasn't bringing in enough money for the family to survive. It also meant that he wasn't willing or able to support Joanne's wishes to explore the world. In February 2005, when Joanne did not show up at work, her employers found it strange because she was dedicated to her job and had never missed a day without prior notice. Her husband, Paul, reached out to authorities on the evening of the day to file a missing persons report. He said he left Joanne at home before going to work and had not seen her since then. The police and Joanne's family started searching for her. With the help of volunteers, Joanne's father, who had been aware of the couple's struggles, openly questions Paul's innocence. But Katie, Joanne's younger sister, thought there was no way Paul was involved. Not only did he seem shaken at the development, but he was also one of the most active when it came to searching for Joanne. Paul made multiple appearances at interviews and press conferences, where he canvassed for volunteers and urged anyone with any helpful information to step forward. He also repeatedly stated how much he loved Joanne and never wished for any harm on her.
Because I couldn't get Valentine's Day off, we swapped cards upstairs.
What does Joanne mean to you?
She's the only person I truly love. I don't know where she is.
His appeals swayed the public, with many joining the search and sending their love. What he didn't know was that the police were starting to grow suspicious of his actions and were observing his behavior closely. That's because he was granting the interviews without informing the detectives. On one occasion, when Paul made another tearful appeal on television, a body language expert thought it contained red flags. He noted that Paul wasn't just closing his eyes, but squeezing them to force out tears. He said it's a tactic people use to make themselves seem sad, to garner sympathy from people. His other facial expressions suggested he wasn't sad. But was only trying to deceive the public, probably to shift blame away from himself. That's not all. Police found something else from his deceitful interviews. He had minor cuts on his hands. Experienced detective Ray Higgins said they were fingernail marks. Victims of strangulation would try all they could to break free of their attacker. One of the common methods was planting their fingernails on the offender's hands. The broadcasters showed a close-up view of Paul's hands, which showed signs of a struggle. So the police turned to CCTV cameras. They wanted to see where Paul had been and the things he had done that day. Police discovered that he went to a nearby store to get rubber gloves, trash bags, and disinfectant. While these were everyday household items, they carried more meaning with the other details police already had. Meanwhile, Paul was also struggling with the weight of what he had done. He needed a trustworthy person to share his disturbing crimes with, and thought he could trust his martial arts trainer. When he confided in the man, he reached out to Paul's mother, who reported his son to the authorities. Paul was subsequently arrested, and he confessed to killing his partner.
He was with the family, giving them assurance, claimed to be giving them support, spent some time with the family, and all throughout that time, he knew just what he'd done. He knew he'd killed their daughter, and he knew that he dumped their body in Woodland at Bransby, and yet he was still there with the family, giving them that hope and assurance.
The couple was at home on the day when one of their usual arguments started, but this one was different. Joanne mentioned that she had been thinking of calling off the relationship. Paul said it started when Joanne criticized him for being unable to perform some household chores, like operating the washing machine. He said this triggered him, but it got worse when he realized the consequences of ending the relationship. They'd have to sell their house, and he'd no longer have someone to care for him again. He strangled Joanne with his bare hands until she lost her life. Then, Paul went to borrow a garden fork from his mother's house and visited a store to get cleaning items. He stored Joanne's body in a trash bag, and transported her 75 miles to a wooded region in Brandsbury. Paul kept the remains of his former partner in the woods and covered the area with leaves and tree branches. Then, he returned home and left for work. After confession, he told the police that he placed the body near a gated area with green bottles. The remains were found 39 days after her death. During the trial, it was revealed that Paul had a history of violence against women. The two women he had relationships with before meeting Joanne recalled how Paul displayed disturbing behaviors like assault. On November 8, Paul was jailed for life with a minimum term of 16 years. He was released in 2022 after serving 17 years. Hannah Cornelius was the oldest of two of her parents' kids. She was born on February 12, 1996 in Stellenbosch, South Africa. Her father, William Cornelius, was a magistrate, while her mother, Anna, was a lawyer. Hannah enjoyed playing the piano and did well in drama class. She was also among the most intelligent people in high school, graduating with excellent grades. After high school, the hardworking Hannah applied for a bachelor's degree to study humanities at the university. She was accepted by Stellenbosch University in 2015. Her grandmother told Hannah she could have her car. The old blue and white Volkswagen City Golf car turned out to be a thoughtful gift that helped Hannah navigate between school and the hostel. She also used it to move to and from the animal sanctuary, where she volunteered. Hannah made many friends in school. One of them was Cheslin Marsh. The two helped each other with their studies and often hung out for fun sometimes. In 2017, Hannah and Cheslin were in their second year. They had just resumed and decided to catch up with other friends on one weekend. They played games and had a few drinks until the early hours of the next day, Saturday, May 27, 2017. When everyone started leaving, Cheslin offered to walk Hannah back to her hostel. The streets were dark, and it was safer that way. When they got to Hannah's residence, she shared her concerns about Cheslin walking home alone. Although he thought he was safe with his skateboard, Hannah thought it was better if she drove him in her car. When they got very close to Cheslin's residence, she parked in a spot and the two shared a small conversation before each person departed. Just then, a group of 4 men walked by the car. They watched the pair, trying to determine if they were an easy target. When this turned out to be the case, they approached the vehicle with the 2 friends unsuspecting. Armed with small instruments like a screwdriver and a knife, the group jumped quickly into the vehicle and threatened to harm them. One of the 4 men, Nashville Julius, left the scene, having accomplished his own assignment of helping them secure a vehicle. 2 other men, Vernon Whitboy and Geraldo Parsons, joined Hannah on the front seat, while Eben Van Niekerk held Cheslin behind them. They drove off at 3:40 a.m. Over 1 hour later, the car was spotted at a petrol station outside Stellenbosch. Cheslin was now inside the boot of the car, after giving up everything on him to the men. One of the men enters the shop with Cheslin's wallet. and attempts to withdraw some money from the young man's debit card. He left the shop after multiple unsuccessful attempts. Cheslin had not given him the correct PIN numbers. They continued the journey to Crefontaine with Hannah still in the car and Cheslin in the boot. They made frequent stops, most likely picking up and dropping off illegal substances. Cheslin occasionally tried kicking the boot open, but got no luck. By 5:30 in the morning, the men stopped the car, and when Hannah inquired why, they called it a short smoke break. However, 2 of them removed Cheslin from the boot. Angered by their inability to withdraw from his card, they led him inside the woods and told him to lie on the ground. He remembered seeing the men holding rocks and bricks before being knocked unconscious. The group got back in the car and traveled farther. After a short while, they brought Hannah out and took turns assaulting her. Unfortunately, they didn't stop there. They stabbed her in the neck with a screwdriver and hit her head with a heavy rock until she gave up. When Cheslin woke up, he made his way until he met a couple who were understandably reluctant to help. It took some persuasion before they finally called the police. Cheslin quickly narrated the events of the night before, describing the faces of the men and how urgent they needed to act to save Hannah. However, they had already found Hannah, and she was pronounced dead before Cheslin regained consciousness. With Cheslin's help, they launched a search for the men. The 3 of them continued carrying out different crimes after abandoning Hannah. They continued in Hannah's car, which appeared in various surveillance footage. At one point that morning, they robbed a woman of her phone and bag. They kidnapped another one and took her to a petrol station where they withdrew 3,000 rand from her card. They left her unharmed. Eben left after that with 1,000 rand. The other 2 tried selling the car to strangers, unaware that the police were already searching for them. 2 police officers came across the car and started following them. They escaped into a nearby farm as police followed but couldn't go further because of a closed gate. The 2 got out and tried to run away on foot, but the attempt was unsuccessful. They quickly named the other accomplices after their arrest. Sadly, Hannah's mother couldn't live with the loss of her daughter. She was found dead in the South Atlantic Ocean. According to William, she gave up after the death of their daughter. When the trial began, Cheslin testified against the men. 2 of them confessed to their crimes and all 4 pleaded not guilty. Vernon Whitboy, Geraldo Parsons, and Eben Van Niekerk were sentenced to life in prison, while Nashville Julius got 22 years. On the afternoon of June 9, 2022, Heidi Noel went to her 22-year-old daughter's house in Alton, Illinois. She had not heard from Lise Dodd in 15 hours. Lise was 8 months pregnant at the time, and her mother needed to make sure she was okay. As soon as she entered her house, she was confronted with a horror that would haunt her for life. 2 neighbors heard a scream from Lise's house and quickly joined Heidi at the house, but they too were not ready for the disturbing scene waiting for them. Heidi immediately called 911, but explaining what she had just seen would take a while. She found her daughter's body on the floor inside the house. It was without the head.
911 was the address.
Yeah. Hi. Listen.
What's going on
My
there?
girlfriend's daughter is killed. Yeah.
What's going on there?
My girlfriend, I'm sorry, my daughter's, he chopped her head off.
Police officers drove in minutes later. They found the distraught Heidi and Liza's neighbors. Even the officers were shocked at the gruesome scene they encountered. Police couldn't find the weapon used, and the perpetrator was nowhere in sight. The race was on to find the barbaric individual who committed this chilling crime.
Where we going, hon?
Apartment 4.
Anybody else here?
No, I didn't see it.
You have a key to get in? Right here. This one. Do you have the key?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lisa was born on August 14, 1999 in Alton, Illinois. She attended Jersey Community High School and graduated in 2017. She loved animals and wanted to venture into the medical field, but first she needed to save some money, so she got a job at Dairy Queen. Lisa was in a tumultuous relationship with 22-year-old DeTondria Holloway. DeTondria had a tough childhood. He left home when he turned 18 and has been living anywhere and everywhere since then. Apart from living in a tent, he stayed with Lisa, friends, and relatives. Along the way, DeTondria started using illicit substances. By 2022, the couple moved into the apartment in Alton. Their issues continued, and they got into many fights and arguments. Most times, it ended up in DeTondria beating Lisa, and this meant that she showed up to work with bruises, according to her boss. Sometimes she was late, and other times, the bruises were so much that she didn't show up at all.
She had a lot of personal problems with a boyfriend, a lot of calling off. She had a lot of black eyes when she would come in. When she first started, she would make excuses that her dog had jumped up and hit her and caused her black eyes. She was constantly running late, like for personal reasons. Always something coming up. She had a lot of black eyes, a lot of bruising on her arms, like where you could see, like maybe grabbing.
Okay.
That kind of.
On one occasion, an argument happened between them at Lisa's workplace, and her boss witnessed her being punched by DeTondria.
What specifically did you see when the day you actually witnessed her being battered? What did you see?
A punch in the face.
You saw Mr. Holloway punch her
face.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was also a time when she ended up at the hospital with a broken nose and black eyes. This led them to end their relationship a couple of times, but they usually patch things up and come back together after a while. Sometime in 2022, Lisa got pregnant. On June 5, DeTondria messaged a friend complaining about his mental health. He complained about the pressure on him from a young age and his inability to control his emotions. On the 7th of June, he went missing. His family called Lisa to ask about him, but she also worried he had not returned after leaving home with some clothes. Lisa informed her mom about what happened. She said they had gotten into an argument, and she cut herself, threatening to end it all. Heidi helped her calm down, but DeTondria still wasn't back. On the evening of June 8, Lisa went to pick up DeTondria after receiving a call from someone who identified himself as his uncle. They got home that night, but Lisa was no longer replying to her mother's texts. The next morning, at the beginning of the street where Leah's lived, a construction worker was disposing of bits of drywall when he discovered something strange in the construction site's dumpster. Among the construction garbage was a laundry basket that stood out. It had shoes and clothes with a lot of blood. He also saw a knife with blood on it. When police checked the CCTV cameras, they saw DeTondria come out of the house carrying a white laundry basket. He walks down the street until he disappears from view. Another CCTV footage from the dumpster captures the white basket being thrown into it. It contained Leisha's head. DeTondria went back home and drove off in Leisha's car. Their neighbors told police that they heard strange noises that night. There were some loud bangs and thuds, as well as loud yelling.
The apartment was shaking, they were fighting about something, and then all of a sudden, the screaming got really, really loud and really intense. And that was, I would say, probably about 9:45, 9:50. And then the apartment had like 5 or 6 loud thuds, and they got louder and louder each time.
They thought it was one of their usual fights. and contacted the landlord. Unfortunately, they couldn't be more wrong. It was DeAndrea doing the unspeakable.
And they shook the apartment as well. And that sounded more like it was coming from...
So, like, what did it sound like experienced in life, to your best ability, that would have created, or possibly created the sound that you heard?
Probably... I really don't know other than, like, chopping wood.
Okay.
Because that's what it felt like he had enough... I didn't mean to say he, but, like, you know, that's what it sounded like there was enough time to do. Was, like... It was very constant beats, too.
Okay.
He went to his sister's house and was seen cutting off his dreads, something he's not done in 2 years. When asked why, he just said fresh start, but his sister knew he had gotten into trouble. Not only was he cutting his hair, but he also showed up with his girlfriend's car and other belongings like her driver's license, ID, and debit cards. He left the house around midday with a for sale sign on Liza's car.
Gave me her ID and the debit card.
Okay.
And I said, well, why you got her debit card?
Yeah.
And license, you know. And I said, now she out there driving, and then she thinks she got her license, and you got it. Then this morning, he gave me 2 keys.
Okay.
And I said, well, where you get these keys from? And he said he found them on the ground. But he didn't say where he found them.
On June 10, the Gillespie, Illinois Police Department arrested D'Andrea after he was found with illegal substances. Before the Alton police could go over to pick up D'Andrea, he was already giving the Gillespie department a tough time.
That's okay. What I have? What's that? What I have? You have cannabis on you.
Oh,
I don't
sweet. Okay, exactly. Right.
Need some water or anything?
Yeah, I would like some water because, you know, you guys gotta...
Hey. Need some water?
Yeah.
Okay, please, get you some water.
He refused to answer their questions, and instead started pacing around and banging his head on the wall. During interrogation, he also refused to answer the investigators.
Didn't you just say I could pace?
No, I didn't say you could pace. I thought you said you had to beat pants. If you could sit down in there, please. Thank you.
Do you mind if I pace? Is that illegal? I'm here, I'm handcuffed.
Yeah, we don't want that. We want you to sit down.
Exactly, I know you don't want that.
So if you could please sit down, okay?
I can't, I'm handcuffed.
Yeah, you can. You just sit down.
I literally can't do anything, I'm handcuffed.
You need to sit down.
Why are you guys scared of me for what?
I'm not scared. You need to sit down.
How? If I'm literally sitting here pacing handcuffed, I can't do shit. He serves to me.
Okay, so what's your name? What they're gonna do is...
I literally asked if I was being detained. That man said no. And then he proceeded to ask me the same question over and over and over. And I said the same thing. And again, he's just not having it because he's got an attitude problem with me.
He was charged with first-degree murder, homicide of an unborn child, and mutilation of a human body. He continued to be a menace while in custody, often threatening correctional officers and refusing to prepare for his hearing. He was declared mentally unfit to stand trial and underwent treatment. He eventually pleaded guilty in January 2024. The court sentenced D'Andrea to 60 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 52 years. It was 2018. The Christmas break was approaching, and an old couple had not seen their daughter for a year. 71-year-old Richard Ivancic and 59-year-old Laura Ivancic had received strange messages from their daughter Jamie. While Jamie and her husband Shelby Neely had always enjoyed moving around, Jamie always kept in touch and visited them once in a while. This changed all of a sudden. Jamie would give strange excuses, promising to visit another time, but when that time came, she postponed it again and gave more strange excuses. The old couple also noticed that she no longer called or picked up their call. They maintained contact through chats, but something was definitely off. Even when the young couple lived far away in Ohio, Texas, and other places, they visited the Ivancics regularly. But now that they have moved to Florida, which was the closest they've been to Richard and Laura, they have yet to visit. The last time any family member heard from Jamie was through FaceTime with her sister in January 2018. Just when their suspicions began to grow, Shelby sent a message that the whole family would be coming around for Christmas. That's Jamie, Shelby, and their 2 children. The old couple breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, they were going to see their daughter and her family. They were so happy that they mentioned it to people who were close to them, neighbors, friends, and family. But time went by, and all these people who were happy that the old couple would be seeing their daughter stopped hearing from them. Friends, family, and neighbors suddenly stopped seeing Richard and Laura when their daughter came around. Shelby and Jamie got married in 2017. After meeting through Jamie's brother Nick, the couple had 2 kids, but had been having troubles in their marriage, requiring multiple police interventions. On one of their visits, police learned that Shelby had assaulted Jamie for almost a year. A year ago, Jamie told family members that she planned to divorce Shelby and leave with her kids. They stopped seeing her around this time, and only corresponded through texts. And now, the grandparents were also missing. On the first day of January 2019, authorities carried out a welfare check at the Ivan 6 home. What they found was a really troubling scene. Richard, Laura, and their son Nick were covered in blankets and wrapped in rugs. They had spray paint on their faces, and their bodies were already decomposing. They must have been killed for a while. Beside Nick's body, in his bedroom, cleaning items, and elsewhere in the home, officers found a rope and more cover-up items. Police found a Home Depot receipt suggesting the items were bought on December 18, almost 2 weeks from the discovery date. There were also signs that whoever committed the heinous crime lived there some days, surviving on pizza, weed, and energy drinks. Police knew Shelby and his wife had visited because their car was parked outside. Strangely, Laura's car was not found. 2 of the Ivan 6 neighbors told police they saw a man they thought was Shelby digging a pit at their house in December. He was there with 2 kids. Police got to work quickly and started searching for the couple. They had 2 leads. The first one was Laura's missing car, and the second was the Home Depot receipt. When they followed the receipt, they saw someone on CCTV picking up the items from the store. It was Shelby Neely. His 2 kids were with him as he went round the store. They also looked for Laura's car and found it in Ohio. Again, Shelby was inside. While he was no longer in his Ohio home, police found items belonging to Richard. On January 3, 2019, Shelby was arrested inside Laura's car. During interrogation, Shelby revealed the whereabouts of his wife Jamie. For the first time in a year, she had been buried in the backyard of the couple's house in Florida. He confessed to killing Jamie, but said he snapped after she assaulted him, and turned to their kids. He choked Jamie until he passed away. Then, he moved her to the bathroom, where she stayed for 3 days before burying her in their backyard. He traveled to the Ivan 6 home in Florida with his kids, and said their daughter would join them once she was through with work commitments. But he knew he couldn't continue lying for long, so he decided to kill more people to cover up his first murder. Shelby waited until Richard was alone with him at home. He brought a hammer and struck him from behind. He did the same thing to Laura when she returned and waited for Nick. He hung out with Nick until he slept. He put the kids to sleep, slept briefly, and woke up later to attack Nick with the same hammer. He took personal belongings from everyone, including their phones, with which he communicated with their friends. Shelby messaged people on their phone, pretending to be them, and telling people that they were out of town to see their grandchildren. In 2023, Shelby pleaded guilty to all 4 murders. He got 30 years for killing his wife through a plea deal, but the jury sentenced him to death for the other crimes. He is scheduled to get one more final hearing in October 2025. With this last footage comes the end of this episode as well. If you had a good time here, then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel as well. We upload almost daily videos like these, so you don't want to miss out. If you don't want to wait till the next video, there will be more videos on your screen in about 3 seconds. I'll see you there. I'm out.